It's 2073 and you just received your acceptance letter to Vault-Tec University. You had always dreamed of being an overseer, but you had no idea that by enrolling in Vault-Tec University, you would be subjected to experimentation, insane classwork, and holding the life and death of your fellow students in your hands. But that's how life was at Vault-Tec University. The university was founded in 2031 when it purchased and rebranded the local college in Morgantown. Its purpose was to create a pool of overseers to place in their vaults all across the country. In the decades that followed, many high-ranking Vault-Tec employees graduated from or taught at the university, while almost all previous professors were fired and replaced. The courses offered there covered everything that overseers would need to know to be successful. An overseer wouldn't need philosophy necessarily, but would need to know how to determine diseases by taste should the lights go out in the vault. Vault-Tec made sure the school was developed to meet its needs, transforming classrooms into labs, focusing on different aspects of a vault, and even creating a test vault underneath the school, where students' final thesis experiments could be played out in real time with other students acting as guinea pigs. Your early years were filled with rigorous studies, taught with efficiency and progress in mind. Subjects like Introduction to Medical Diagnosis, which taught you how to be a fully trained medical professional in only 3 months as long as you used the Vault-Tec designated medical equipment. And Introduction to Contaminants, which provided a list of the top 10 contaminants that may affect a vault and how to safely introduce them on purpose in the event that you are overseeing an observation vault, also known as an experimental vault. As you moved towards your senior thesis, the course workload becomes even more strenuous. Your waste sprint, a week-long event where you subsided on nothing but your own waste, processed through a Vault-Tec approved recycling system, was tough, but at least you weren't hospitalized like your friend was. But the worst experience was the month you spent in the test vault. It was mandatory for one of your courses, but it was so bad that you started to question whether being stuck in a vault would really be the way to go if the bombs ever fell. Still, you made it this far, best to keep going. After all, you trusted the professors and deans at the school, especially Dean Harland Elliott. Dean Elliott was the Dean of Overseer Development and was the only person that could approve a student's final thesis. He quite literally decided who would live as an overseer after the bombs dropped and who would not. He also selected the proctors for the test vault, a decision that could lead to failure for the student leading the experiment, or even death. As you progressed through your schooling, you met a lot of new people. Some were there to save America, wanting to lead survivors into a bold new world and make sure as many people lived through the impending nuclear fallout as possible. Others were a bit stranger. One girl in your class kept talking about other students not having the passion for Vault-Tec, that they didn't know what they were truly working towards. Another student, a year or two younger than you, kept spouting off about his final thesis, one he had written back when he was in grade school. He talked about selective breeding inside a vault to create a race of perfect humans. You thought that sounded unethical, but the guy already had a meeting set up with Dean Elliott about it, so who were you to judge his work? Outside of school, you stayed in off-campus housing, living in Shadow Breeze apartments. You tried to join a fraternity, but none of them really seemed to click with you. You didn't party enough to join Pi Kappa Mu, and you weren't nerdy enough to join Eta Psi Epsilon Tau. It was probably for the best. You heard some rumors that Lewis from the Et Pets was creating some weird drink called Nuka-Shine that could mess with your brain. The Shadow Breeze apartment building was filled with mostly students. Some of the older residents blamed them for the rising costs of rent. But otherwise, it was a nice place to live. In fact, most of Morgantown was centered around the college and was developing quickly into a city. More shops, businesses, and Slocum Joes were opening around the town to support the students. You have finally made it to your final year, October 2077. You already started to work on your final thesis to run in the test vault. Dean Elliott asks you to proctor for one of your fellow students, and you jump at the chance to see the other side of the test vault. The facility was built beneath Vault-Tec University, connecting all 3 buildings together. It had all of the amenities a control vault would have: clinic, maintenance, cafeteria, sleeping quarters, showers, a pool table, and a gym, with an overseer office that overlooked the whole thing. Students would volunteer to be part of the experiment and act as vault dwellers, being given jobs according to the parameters of the test and living within the test vault for a set amount of time. You were asked to proctor a test for your friend Drew Collingsworth. He was a nice guy and was excited to be the first test of the new school year. He had been working on his final thesis, Project Lembas, for a year now, creating a food paste that was not only filling and met all nutritional needs for the dwellers, but also came in a variety of flavors and additives to keep the taste from being boring. Half the students would eat the paste, and half would eat normal food as the control group. As you arrived for training on October 15, 2077, you were told that it was your job to ensure that all parameters set out by Dean Elliott were followed, and directions would be provided by the head proctor. Otherwise, you were meant to take notes and sometimes work a video camera to record the test. During your stay in the test vault, you had thought that all of the pictures built into the walls were there for decoration, not glass hiding cameras and prying eyes, even when you slept. But this was all to save people's lives in the event that the end of the world came, right? What's a little lost privacy as cameras rolled in areas like the bedroom when compared to total annihilation? It was also specifically mentioned that if any of the proctors knew one or more of the students in the test vault, they should not do anything to alter the test. No aberrant substances were to be administered unless specifically told to do so, no matter how much you hated one of the test subjects. The next few days were pretty standard. You were stationed at the camera looking in through the cafeteria. You notated who ate the paste and how much they ate. You noticed that many often spit it out, but when Drew walked around and asked how the students liked the paste, they would smile and lie to him. You chuckled and couldn't wait to tell him the truth once the test was done. Everything changed on October 22nd, 2077. You were just sitting down at your station when you heard the head proctor tell another student to release the additive before lunch. You strained to listen closer as the student asked what the additive was. The proctor said that it was an arterial plaquing agent. The student shrugged and did as he was told, but your stomach dropped. That would cause serious health problems. You tell the head proctor that you weren't feeling well, and they let you go home. You take one last look at Drew through the viewing glass, happy and smiling, and leave for the day to wrap your head around what you had learned about the test vault. You woke on October 23rd to the bombs dropping. Vault-Tec University spent years teaching you how to survive the end of the world inside a vault. What it never taught you was how to survive outside of one. And now, you are about to find out.